Hello, and welcome to Spiels to Reels, the podcast about everything pop culture.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. I am your host, Dallan, and I'm joined by my sister and co-host, Jordan.
Hello.
And then we, of course, have our frequent guest, Jay, here.
Hello, everybody.
So, let's just go into some news that we have from around the place.
You want to do it around the galaxy, didn't you?
Yeah, I was gonna say it, but I'm like, wait a minute, wrong podcast. So we got Dark Crystal coming out to Netflix soon. I'm not sure exactly when.
I'm not sure exactly when. I just read the article the other day that they're supposed to be putting a Dark Crystal series on Netflix. It's an original series, I guess, to Netflix.
Netflix original.
Which excites me. I mean,
they have a pretty good track record for Netflix original.
Marketing street.
What was that?
Just my tablet.
Okay.
Talking to me.
Jay got a new tablet. He's still figuring out how it works. That was funny. Alright.
Okay, well...
Pardon that interruption.
It's over.
Anyway, I heard from somewhere that they're going to try to do all practical effects, and there's not going to be any CGI. If there is going to be CGI, it's going to be, like, extremely little.
Yeah.
Like glows or, finishing up, like a picture to make it look better.
Like the small details.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's what I heard, and apparently that's all they're going to use CGI for, which makes me excited. I'm excited to see what they come up with the puppets and the animatronics and such.
Oh, yeah. I think it'll be interesting to watch, just to see what they can do with them.
Right now, I'm not sure, but I believe I read somewhere or heard somewhere that it's a prequel.
A prequel
to the 1982 movie.
Huh.
So maybe how they got to where they are in the 1982 movie.
I haven't seen the 1982
that would
movie
be cool.
in a very long time.
You need to get it and watch it.
Yeah, we do.
Especially before the series comes out.
Yeah.
That's great. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Uh-huh.
It is a really good movie. From
probably don't watch it enough I probably don't watch it as often as I should.
Yeah.
I should probably make it at least once a year thing, but I haven't seen it in a couple years probably.
Right.
Yeah. So excited?
Yeah.
All around excited?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
I mean, you're right. Like Netflix has a pretty good track record for a lot of things. You know, some of their things aren't so good, their original series, but
Here comes the pup. Come here.
But I think with known properties, they do pretty well. Like Voltron.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that series.
Voltron's great. We got it.
Even though it's not like
There you go.
100% like the original, Voltron's still really good. So I think, they did a great job of that. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this Dark Crystal series.
Yeah.
Should be fun.
Jordan and I never finished season 2 of Voltron.
No, I didn't. I haven't. I need to finish it.
Shameful.
I know. What am I doing?
It's so good.
Well,
I never finished it.
What stopped us? It was something in
School.
It was
your school?
Yeah, it was having to study for chemistry tests.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So, I've got summer free and open, so we'll have to finish it.
Can you hear her panting?
Oh, Bella, get out of the microphone. It's Spiels and distractions today. That's what it is.
Well,
Alright, so next up would be the Star Trek Discovery CBS series, which is going to be a CBS All Access series.
Yeah.
So you have to pay for that, I guess. But still, it's an interesting premise.
I'm guessing, you have to, it's paid. You just, pay for it, and then it's automatically on your guide.
Right, yeah,
So
I assume it's just a separate
It's like a
subscription.
Showtime.
Right,
Or
Stars.
Cinemax.
Yeah. Or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a premium channel, sort of.
There you go.
Yeah. So apparently, it's going to have a lot of the people that worked on previous Star Treks working on it, which, that's pretty good. You don't want brand new... I mean, you want new people, but at the same time, you do want to keep the old ones around so that way they can... Because they know what they're writing.
Right.
So...
Yeah. You need that nice mix of new blood with, people who've
old experience.
Right, with experience. Yep, that's exactly what you need.
And
especially with something like Star Trek.
It's apparently going to come out in fall of 2017, and it will actually have a 2-part premiere on regular CBS. And then after that, it's just going to be on all access. So...
It will be 15 episodes long. So, if you're a Trekkie, check it out. Looks like there will be another female captain.
Yep, the other one was in Voyager. That's the only other female captain I know of.
And if any of you are Walking Dead fans, the captain is from Walking Dead.
Who did she play?
Sasha.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Sasha.
She plays Sasha.
That's why she looked familiar.
Didn't the actor of Sasha recently have a baby?
I'm not sure.
I thought she recently
I have no clue.
Gave birth. I don't know. I heard that from somewhere.
One of them did.
Yeah, one of the Walking Dead stars did.
No, it was the younger girl. I don't know her name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that from like an article that I read on Facebook or something. I thought it was her, but I guess not. Okay, so after that, we got... Oh, yes. My loot anime. The reason why we're going through these kind of fast is because of the movie that we have, which you've already seen. What movie we have.
And our prep work for this week's episode sucked. So
yeah.
We're just kind of pulling stuff out of our butts and talking about it.
Fake it till you make it.
Good grief.
And Jordan has cold.
And I do have a cold, which is never fun. For talking. And Dallan's inept at opening boxes.
This one, it's not like a forlum show.
Now, why do you call us forlum and Ryan says forloon?
It's actually for
Semetics.
LOM.
Semetics.
Semantics, you mean?
Semantics.
Pronunciation.
What the? Okay.
Ooh, Death Note stuff.
Yep.
Glow-in-the-dark coffee mug.
Sweet.
What?
That was an odd noise.
It's his fanboy noise.
No, just like a freaking mug, dude. I never get that.
I'm just looking. You can commence with trying to open your mug box.
They do package these things pretty tight.
Yeah, they do.
Well, I don't want it to break.
Well, that may have to try to fit as much stuff as they can to the smallest box they can. I'm sure that,
That too.
Shipping makes a difference.
That is pretty cool.
Is the theme for this too spooky for me?
What?
I said, is the theme for this too spooky for me?
I don't know what that means.
Because of all the ghosts and the Death Note mug and whatever this is. Noragami.
The regular loot crates are usually themed.
Oh. Why has it got to be a freaking flat top?
You just have to bend it.
Bend it. I don't like flat top.
You don't like
cats.
flat bills?
Nah.
No, there, see? A little squish and it's good. You might have bent it a little too much.
There, just straighten it out. There you go.
There you go.
And then we got... I don't know what Noragami is. See, this is like the problem with this sometimes is that you get like this.
Random stuff. It's like, what the heck is that?
I don't know what that is.
But it makes you research. Maybe you'd want to watch
Parasite.
it.
Right.
Now, I have heard of this. This recently became an anime. And I have a poster in the phone charm that I can't use.
You can give them to Lenora. She'd love them.
Yeah, I could. Hold on. I'll get to the manga in a minute. Let's first just take a look at this poster. It's always purple hair, man. It's always the same purple-haired girl in every single one. Nope. This one. I guess she must be like the mascot or something. Cause she's in like every single one. But there she is. She's got a big scythe on her. There. And then... then we got Parasite. Now this is actually... Here, I'm just going to read the back for it real quick. They arrive in silence and darkness. They descend from the skies. They have a hunger for human flesh. They are everywhere. They are parasites. Alien creatures who survive must invade and take control of a human host. Once they have infected their victims, they can assume any deadly form they choose. Monsters with giant teeth, winged demons, creatures with blades for hands, but most have chosen to conceal their lethal purpose behind ordinary human faces, so no one knows their secret. Except an ordinary high school student. Shinichi is battling for control of his own body against an alien parasite. But can he find a way to warn humanity of the horrors to come? Yeah, his hand becomes like a parasite.
Oh.
An alien thing, and I think in the anime, like, he meets other people with parasites in them who have all these different powers, and like they fight with their powers. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty good series from what I hear.
Does the hand try to kill him in his sleep?
Look, he's got it.
That's a little creepy.
Yeah.
It's like the Thing.
Yeah, basically. I think that's might have what they got inspiration from. But but that's it for this one. For this Loot anime.
You like tore through that. You went through the last one all nice and meticulous, and it's like, oh, this is what I got, and la-di-da, and here's some stuff about it. And that one you're just like, coffee mug, poster, t-shirt, manga, hat. We're done. Grief.
Well, sometimes you got like some of this stuff I don't have much to say on, like the t-shirt. I have no idea what that is.
Well, we were trying to make our episode shorter, and I think we might be overcompensating. We're only at 12 minutes here. This next topic might be a little long-winded, though. So we're going to go through, and we're going to basically talk about what each of us looks for when we go to watch a movie. So basically, what makes a good movie for us, in our opinion. Just so you kind of, have a feel for where we're all at. You want to start, Jay?
Oh, boy. For me, it really depends on the genre, so we'll just take comic book movies, since we'll be talking about one later. Mm-hmm. What do I look for in a good comic book movie? It has to have the same sort of feel as the source material. It doesn't have to be a story directly pulled from the source material. They can combine some things. I don't care about that part. But I want the character to be true to the source material of where he or she came from, sort of how they got to be where they are. Mm-hmm. All of Spider-Man. Spider-Man got to be where he is because, well, he was a sort of a nerdy kid in school, had something more, miraculous happen to him when he gets bit by the spider, and then he has to almost immediately go through some suffering when his uncle dies.
Right.
So, that kind of sets him up as a character. And, his origin story through every single Spider-Man movie till now has been the same. So, which is good, because that is Spider-Man's origin story.
Uh-huh.
So I think, for comic book movies, sticking true to characters, it has to be entertaining. It has to focus in on just one or two story plotline. When they start to get too complicated, a comic book movie will lose you, because you're like, especially if they're throwing in things that only comic book sweaties would understand, those people who are really into the comic books, and
right.
It's fine to throw those little nuggets for them, but don't make them such intricate plot line details that if you don't get it, you're gonna be lost. So almost like comic book movies just need to be sort of simple, simply written, 3 acts, beginning, middle, and an end, and entertaining. I guess that's what I'd look for most in a comic book movie. Now you go to like comedies. Jeez. Comedies are hard for me because typically I don't like comedies. But I love some of the comedies back from the 80s. And maybe it's a childhood thing. So, and a generational thing. But I think comedies shouldn't have complex stories at all. What's the point?
Right.
If you're just going to... And I don't like... in a comedy, you don't need to develop the characters as much. Mm-hmm. Tommy's a high school kid. And, he's going off to college, but he doesn't really know how to associate with people or whatever, It doesn't need to be complex, like, Tommy's a high school kid, but he has this drug problem, and, it doesn't,
Yeah.
And his mother died 2 years ago, and it doesn't need to be complex, these characters don't need to be complex, they just need to be funny.
You have a dark yet mysterious past.
Yeah.
Right. So, I guess those are a couple of different genres, a couple of different things I... look for in those types of movies. You can get into horror movies and what do I look for. Horror movies don't need to be very complex either. And you don't really need a whole lot of character development. Yeah. I don't think, of like any of the main characters. You don't need to know their complete backstory.
No.
They could just stumble into the woods and, they're being chased by Jason. Fine, I don't need to know anything about this person, I'd rather know about the evil that's coming after them, or maybe some lore about that. Not so much the characters, especially if they're just going to get killed. Who cares? All the last Alien movie that just came out. You really don't need to know anything about those characters.
Go ahead, Dallan.
Okay.
Well, what were you gonna ask?
I was gonna say to the horror thing. Yeah, I was gonna say they're just gonna. Most of them are gonna die anyway, but. I think one of the best things about horror in general is that they kind of always put the every person in there. The average person.
Right, somebody you can relate to.
Yeah, who you can relate to and be scared right along with. For example, Cloverfield was a good example of this. You know nothing about Hud, the guy who holds the camera during the whole thing. You don't really know anything about him, except for he's a bit awkward. He's a bit weird. He doesn't quite say the right things at times. He's not very good at bedside manners.
That movie's like a good self-insert movie.
It is.
You just slot yourself right into that character's place, and there you go.
Now, that is one problem that I do have with that movie, is that they do give a little bit too much character development, because, like, the whole first bit before the monster even shows up is like, oh, did you know that they slept together? What? Really? No way! No one cares. Just get to the monster movie.
Did it make a difference?
Yeah.
In the movie, or how you felt about the characters?
Yeah,
no. Okay, now in horror, do you prefer the monster in the shadows? And I know there's a movie term for this, and I can't think of it. But the monster in the shadows, or do you prefer to be able to see the monster, the horror? Like, does it depend on the movie?
Yeah, it depends on the movie. For example, Jason Voorhees.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him up front and center, like, going and killing people. Like, that's what I want to see, that's what you go to those kinds of movies for. Slasher movies are great for having the monster being in the foreground and being kind of the main focus as they're, like, ripping people to shreds. Now, suspenseful horror movies, the ones where the monster more messes with their minds a bit,
like Blair Witch,
or Cloverfield. Cloverfield is a bit, they show the monster a lot in that movie, actually. But Lights Out, Mama, Ouija, all these movies.
Lights Out was good.
Yeah,
is that the one that just came out?
It's the one where whenever they turn the lights out, the girl comes.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the kids who break into the guy's house and he's blind.
Oh no! Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe. That's a good suspenseful, but you also get like he's like his story arc, sort of the guy who lives in the house is pretty messed up. So I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I like those kind of horror movies where you're gonna get some jump scares.
Yeah.
But it's more real.
Yeah.
Like this could really happen to you. Type of movie. Unlike, it's just like It that's coming out. Mm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's not any clowns living in sewers, okay?
that turn that turn into spiders.
Yeah.
Pretty
sure. Although I'm really looking forward to seeing It.
Oh yeah, me too. Because I mean,
it's a different type of horror movie, so I don't expect. I expect different things from it than I would of Don't Breathe.
Yeah, I mean, I liked It, the first one that was made back in the 80s. Very interesting horror movie, very different. And it looks like they're going to try to make it a bit more suspenseful in the new one than the old one was. Because that is one thing, horror movies have definitely changed over time. In the 80s and, 70s and all that, the old horror movies, they were always, like, kind of in the foreground, while newer ones try to keep them in the shadows, I've noticed, which is really interesting.
And then there's other types of horror movies, like 10 Cloverfield Lane. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I really want to see that one, and we need to watch that.
It's pretty good, but it's almost like 2 horror movies in one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a monster movie and a crazy person movie. Yeah.
So it's pretty good.
Sorry if you hear that in the background.
Got an active house today.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Active studio.
Active studio.
Okay, so you want to tell us what you look for in movies, Jordan?
Well, there's a few core things that I like in movies. I mean, you have to have really good characters. Quit doing that. You've got to have really good characters. For me, the characters they can either make or break the movie. I can watch something with a sort of, and this goes for books too. I can watch something or I can read something with sort of a mediocre plot if I really, really enjoy the characters and I like them. I am a character person, first and foremost. Now, having said that, if your plot is weak, I will tear it to shreds. Like, Jay disagrees with me on this, but Star Trek Beyond. Plot was weak as hell. The only reason I still kind of like that movie is because I like the characters.
But see, my expectations for that movie weren't plot-driven. They were character-driven and entertainment-driven. So that's, I was entertained from the beginning of that movie to the end of that movie. There really weren't many holes for me as far as entertainment value goes.
Yeah.
Plot, it's a Star Trek, but I don't expect too much from a Star Trek movie.
But the first two were really tight and really solid, and then you got that one, and it was, you could, sorry, Simon Pegg, you could tell it was amateur hour with the writing. I'm sorry, buddy, I really enjoy your acting, but your writing needs some work, and it's not the quality of the lines, it's just the way your story flowed or didn't flow and fit together.
You're good with comedies.
You're very good with comedies. You're very good with the comedic lines. But I do look for plot too. I like good action scenes, good action sequences. The fight scenes have to be pretty solid. Romance, you gotta be careful with me. If it's not
boring.
Yeah, boring.
It's like,
if it's boring, I'm out.
Yeah,
right,
same.
I'm
out.
done. Yeah.
If
it's cliche,
out.
if it's generic,
out.
Or romance, it's gotta be subtle and it's gotta be organic and it cannot be like front and center in the movie. It drives me nuts.
You can't have it be like, let's put a guy and a girl kiss. You know,
right.
you can't just do that.
What was that?
You know what I mean, right? Like, you can't just have...
Right, like any guy or any girl, just because they're together, are automatically going to fall in love with each other, yeah.
Like, the best romance movies to me, and that, if you don't... I think most people would consider this a romance movie, is things like The Notebook, where the movie's great, and you're following along with these two characters, but it's really the end reveal that, like, last 5 minutes of the movie that really make the rest of the movie worth watching. You know, where you find out that he's the, he's him. Oh, he's telling us. Oh, I get it. You know,
right.
Yeah.
It sort of makes the story being told worth it. Then, whereas you get some romance movies, and I don't watch very many, so.
Oh no, neither do I. I'm not even talking like full romance movies.
My knowledge,
just plot lines.
Library in my head of romance movies is fairly small.
Well, the movies that Jordan likes are like Leap Year. Leap Year.
if you want to go into like rom-coms, like I'll watch those just to turn it on and like turn my brain off for a couple of hours and just be like Jay said, like pure entertainment. That's what I go to for pure entertainment, are the really simplistic, like Leap Year. Leap Year's funny, it's cute, it's entertaining for me.
Or movies like The Wedding Planner.
Right.
Or my Big Fat Greek.
Or my Big Fat Greek.
Never even see that movie. I know it was like critically acclaimed, and I heard the second one was awful.
Yeah, the second one is bad.
Yeah,
but most of those sequels are.
But
to rom-coms, they're usually bad.
But see,
10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, see, that's. But I mean, how do we even get into romance genre? I wasn't even talking like no, but I just meant romance. If there's romance in a movie,
okay,
it can't be like in your. I don't like it in your face. I like the way that, like Star Wars does it, with Han and Leia. It's there, but it's not. Bam! Shove it in your face, constantly. There's an arc there.
So many movies freaking do that nowadays. It's not even funny. Like, subtlety with romance has just gone out the window with a lot of movies
right?
recently.
I don't know. I like it natural, and I'm not like I'm not a very sympathetic person to people whining and bitching about getting dumped or being hurt or whatever in the past. Dallan can vouch for this.
Neither am I. But, like, when a song comes on about being dumped, I mostly just listen to the music.
See, but
I'm like, that's a nice melody,
I hear a song about someone being dumped and whining about it, and I'm just like, dude, shut up.
I'm like, but it has a nice beat.
No, I don't care. But anyway, I digress. That's music.
Yeah.
So I look for good characters, first of all, and it depends on the movie as to whether I look for really strong plot lines. Rom-coms normally don't matter because the plot line is the relationship, right? That's what it is.
Sort of the MacGuffin of the movie.
Right. Anything else that happens, like in Leap Year, they have the whole point A to point B. Literally, she's trying to get to a place, and she's trying to get to Dublin. And but all of that's mostly irrelevant. But I have higher expectations when it comes to, like Jay said, like Star Trek. Star Wars, Marvel movies, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, anything that I know I'm gonna be invested in. I look at the plot and it's a theme. I'm a theme person. If you give me a theme or if you try to introduce one in the beginning of the movie and then you don't follow through with it, that drives me nuts. Again, Star Trek Beyond. We're gonna debate that movie one of these days. So many problems I have with that movie. I think those are my big ones. Stuff might pop up while Dallan's talking.
Okay, well, that was an awkward transition.
So,
that's alright.
I need to write this stuff
down. We'll go with it.
Okay, so what I look for in movies definitely depends on the movie. Action movies, I want to be excited. I want to be like, well, that was really freaking awesome, like a certain, action sequence. That's one reason why I like, Mission Impossible, is because the action sequences in a lot of those movies are pretty cool. Same with, like, Terminator.
The newest ones are better.
Yeah.
For Mission Impossible.
The first one's good.
The first one is good.
The second couple are okay, then they get better.
Yeah. Or, like, James Bond.
Oh, Daniel Craig, best James Bond.
I've
said that at least once before on this podcast.
And
Roger Moore.
For Daniel Craig.
Sean
Hands
Connery.
Down. Sean Connery.
See, that just goes to show. You get three people, you're going to get three different opinions.
Yep.
But, so that's one movie that I'm excited for that I forgot to mention in our last episode of this. about upcoming movies. One movie that I'm very excited to see is Atomic Blonde. Have you?
That looks awesome.
Yeah, it does.
It's like the female version of John Wick, sort of.
It's like the John Wick and James Bond kind of mixed into one.
And a little Jason Bourne.
Yeah. It looks and all set around a female character.
Okay, can I give like a pet peeve right now though?
Alright,
that
rated R.
I can already tell. It's not even the rated R.
Oh,
it's
what?
the fact that it's rated R for sexuality and nudity. Like, why, when you have an action movie with a woman as the main star, and when you have a woman badass, why does she automatically have to be sexual?
They sex James Bond up all the time.
But not him. Not really. It's the women in those movies.
I don't know, why
They get sexed up.
Why does Ryan Reynolds have to have a shirt off in every movie?
Exactly.
What movies are you watching?
Deadpool?
I didn't watch Deadpool. See, I thought that was a stupid premise. So
That's a great movie, though. Like, as far as entertainment value,
or Hugh Jackman.
Awesome movie.
Hugh Jackman is another one where
it's the same way.
Yeah.
Like, I sort of see your point.
Yeah. I get it.
But you can have Mission Impossible, and you can have the Jason Bourne stuff. You can have all of that, and they don't have to be like all sexed up. But you get a woman into it. The one that didn't really do that was Salt with Angelina Jolie.
Or Lucy.
Lucy doesn't.
No,
really.
Lucy really didn't do it too bad either. But a lot of them fall into that. I don't know.
Now, yeah, like Ghost in the Shell, right? That was derived from an anime, and we all know how anime is with its sexualization.
Over sexualizing.
Yeah, she wears
females.
a skin tight suit, but she's like a cyborg or an android. I don't know the plots of Ghost in the Shell, but that's what I get from it.
And when we get to this, when we get to our Wonder Woman review, I'll share with you what my wife's biggest pet peeve with the movie was, and it has something to sort of do with
her skirt was too short.
No, look, they explained why she needed that.
Yeah.
Tell us not to
fight.
Dallan.
Yeah.
Like she was trying on all those clothes. It was that whole. We'll get into it later.
Okay,
that whole scene was for a purpose.
Finish
Okay.
your
Well,
thing,
anyway,
Dallan.
in horror movies, I want to be scared and almost jumping out of my seat.
Yeah, you want to be on the edge of your seat. You want to
Exactly.
be like, terrified to even go into the theater and watch it. You want just by seeing some of the trailers, you should be like.
I have never been that scared of a movie.
Here's the problem I have with Alien.
The biggest problems with trailers nowadays is that they give away every single freaking scare under the sun.
Well, especially in horror movies. And comedies give away every single laugh.
Yeah, all the good ones.
Every single one.
Uh-huh.
It's to get butts in the seats.
Yep.
Because you think there's going to be more.
Yeah.
Beyond that. And rarely, unfortunately, there rarely is anything better than what you already saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
Happen. But here's the big problem I have with the recent Alien movie. It's supposed to be like a horror movie, like a sci-fi horror movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not one time was I scared at all.
Yeah.
I was cheering for the alien to kill these bastards. That's not a horror movie.
No, that's pretty bad.
That's just a poorly written and executed sci-fi movie.
Yeah, that's a sci-fi channel level movie.
I got more out of. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Mass Effect. Is that what it's called?
That's a game series.
No, it's something Effect. Anyway, it's like an older sci-fi movie. I got more like. There's more tension in that movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell's the name of that movie? I don't remember. But there's more tension in that movie than there was in this last Alien movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
The only movies that scare me are ones where I think the dog might die. That's the only reason I'm ever afraid to go watch a movie.
Mothman Prophecies. That's a good suspense movie. It's not really horror, per se, but that one will get you on the edge of your seat.
And then there's movies like The First Paranormal Activity.
That one was good.
Pretty good. After that one and the next one's coming, you kind of know what to expect.
It's like a Michael Bay movie with explosions. It just kind of is like a breeze across your face. Every scare, you're like, what? Sorry. That used to be cool, but now it isn't.
Right.
You know?
You did that already.
Yeah.
I know what to expect.
Game of Thrones with character death.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
exactly.
Again.
Oh.
My gosh. I'm so surprised.
My God. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, And, like, you know, with comedy movies, I want to be laughing. Like, for example, I just watched Footloose earlier today.
The original.
Yes.
The original.
Not the remake.
With Kevin
Not the
Bacon.
remake.
The only Footloose.
It's
the only Footloose.
We don't talk about the remake. The remake doesn't exist.
It's the only Footloose.
That one's not good.
No.
Kevin Bacon. It's the only Footloose.
But, you know, that movie does it all for me. It makes me laugh. Makes me, you know,
you go on like sort of an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
You laugh. There's some like tender moments, cry. You know.
There's some tension a little bit there, and
it's
like
a great movie.
And you know, it does exactly what it's meant to do. It makes you, you know, tap your foot. It makes you kind of want to dance a little bit because of the soundtrack, the amazing soundtrack, and also just seeing them do all these crazy moves on the screen. You're like, I want to be able to do that. You know? Or, you know, sing is another good example of this. I want to be singing the songs as I'm walking out the movie theater. It's exactly what it did for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right, see, animated movies is totally different. There's, like, a whole spectrum of movies and animated. I mean, you got, like, movies like Toy Story 3, which that whole journey is, you're just, like, you know, with these characters, you're so invested, and then you're, like, it's that tense moment at the end, you know.
Especially if you grew up with the characters.
If you grew up watching all three of them. It's, you know, for an animated movie, I mean, that story is one of the best, like, stories, period.
Mm-hmm.
Of any type of movie.
Yeah.
Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, they're all good.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you got animated movies like Sing, where, you know, you just want to be tapped in your foot, you know, you expect to hear singing and music, and that's what you want to
And some comedy,
feel. Right. You know, it's going to be comedic, right. And, you know, there's going to be the little kid poop and fart jokes, and then there's going to be the more adult type humor. And,
Right.
You know, that only you're going to get.
Now, one thing that I do love about movies is, like, especially with, like, Sing, you expect it to be just pure comedy, pure singing all the time, but there's some dramatic and some really heartfelt moments and really good emotional moments in that movie, too.
Oh, yeah.
And we will definitely do a review of that sometime soon.
Yeah, it's a well-rounded movie.
That movie is really good.
Yeah, it's sort of a surprise movie from last year. I mean, just go off a little bit off topic. One of my favorite movies, animated movies from last year, is Zootopia.
Yeah.
It's just a fun little journey. I mean, I was invested in the two main characters, you know, the rabbit and the fox.
Nick and Jody.
And so, as you know, it's just a fun movie, even for adults to watch. I don't have kids.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and of course, with comedies, I want to be laughing throughout the whole thing. And probably my favorite comedy that's ever come out in, like, the past decade was The Other Woman.
Oh, God, that one's
It's the only comedy
hilarious.
in the entire
I haven't seen it.
decade.
No, God, you need to watch it.
I just don't watch comedies
that I've
much.
ever... Like, and the funny thing is that when we went to go see it in the theaters, it was kind of just a spur-of-the-moment thing.
It was just, I want to go see a movie. What's at the discount theater, the $3? Oh, that one's there. That one kind of looked funny from the commercials. Let's go check it out.
And it was great.
Hilarious.
It was hilarious. It's got an interesting premise to it.
You like the characters.
Yeah, you really like the characters, except for the characters that you're not supposed to like.
Right, but they're not overdeveloped characters. They get just enough development that you're invested and you kind of care about them, and it's just it's a funny movie.
It's a good movie. I like that movie. So yeah, that's what I look for in those movies. In comic book movies, I want to see the origins of this character. Maybe not exactly to the comics, but, stay faithful to the comics.
But not Michael Bay.
Yeah, not Michael Bay.
Off target.
Not Michael Bay, who sees a target, has his bow and arrow, and, shoots behind him. I want to see someone who hits that, maybe not bullseye, but, one of the outer rings at least. And so... And exactly, you want to also bring in mainstream audiences as well, who haven't read a single comic book in their life.
Right, like me.
And that's exactly what, Marvel and DC are doing. Marvel, admittedly, a little bit better than DC. But this, yeah, and for example, like the old Batman movies, right, or the old Superman movies, the ones that first came out, they didn't grab that many people. Still grabbed a lot of people, but they didn't grab as many as they do nowadays because they didn't quite try to catch mainstream audiences as much as they do today. So that's what I look for in movies mostly. Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
I mean, like smooth like edits and transitions and stuff.
Please.
Like if we're getting to like more on the technical side of things,
Suicide Squad can suck it in that regard.
Pacing of a movie,
yeah,
like it's fairly evenly paced. It doesn't like go real fast, slow way down, go real fast, slow way down. It has to like something happens. Something happens, or somewhat a resolution. Something happens. And you go through that sort of process. I think like John Wick 2 is a good example. It's just, that movie is like, from start to finish, you know exactly what the pacing is going to be. It's going to be lightning quick. You know? It's like, it just goes from one plot point to the next, and the next, and the next, but it's in the right pacing that you're able to keep up. You're not exhausted, but you're entertained the whole time. I love that movie. It's John Wick. Volume 2 is great.
The second one.
The second one. Whatever they call it.
The sequel.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's a good movie. Other tech, like the way they shoot the movie, like angles and camera angles and all that technical stuff that I wouldn't even know how to begin to do, but I notice it when it's in a movie, when it's something the way I like it versus the way I don't like it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Batman v Superman has the most horrible like jump scenes. Like they'll just cut off in the middle of someone saying something almost, and bam, you're right into the next scene. It has nothing to do with the scene you were just previously in. It's just so poorly edited, and there's no flow. So those are things that drive me nuts about movies. Is just poorly edited, poorly shot, poor dialogue.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like in Suicide Squad, there's no passage of time.
No, you have no idea how much time has passed in that movie.
They never explain anything. They don't, like, there's a part where it's like the Enchantress's brother is like wrecking the subway, right? Like, right the next scene later, Suicide Squad needs to be dispatched right now.
Right.
What?
It doesn't show anyone figuring out anything. It's just all of a sudden, call them out. What?
And then, like, she's stabbing the heart, and she teleports to her brother, and she's like, help me! He does something. You don't ever get explained what he does, and then she's suddenly fine.
That's another podcast.
Oh my goodness.
With Jay as well.
I don't like that
he wants
movie.
to debate that one.
I can defend that movie.
Oh god, I don't know how.
To a point.
Okay.
You can't do it all the way. So that's what we all look for in movies, right? So now we can finally go into our review. This is probably going to be a much longer episode than usual, but that's okay.
We'll see.
So, okay.
I don't know, we all like the movie, so maybe just a lot of agreeing.
Yeah, it's like, yes, I agree with that.
I concur. Dead silence as everyone takes a drink.
I take an imaginary drink because I don't have a drink.
Had to be. And more dead silence.
Okay.
All right.
So, Wonder Woman.
Best DC movie, easily.
First hit of a DC movie for me.
Okay, to be fair, I liked Man of Steel.
Man of Steel's good movie.
It was, how can you not, it was a good movie. It was well acted, it was well written, all the editing was solid. It addressed the biggest problem I have with Superman, which is Lois Lane, who sees this frickin' dude every day, and he takes off his glasses and makes a little curly Q in his hair, and all of a sudden is, oh my gosh, it's Superman! I have never seen him before in my life, outside of that costume that he wears. And in Man of Steel, it was, hey, yeah, Lois Lane's not an imbecile, and she knows who he is.
She figured it out.
Yeah. And it's, yeah, I liked it. But anyway.
I debate the good writing part, but that's just me.
I thought it was okay. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I had no issues with it, really. Well, I'm sure I would have issues with it.
Well, okay, I
Not
didn't
big ones.
hate Man of Steel. Let me make that clear. I thought it was okay. It wasn't special.
It was just the first Superman movie that I actually enjoyed.
But DC's had other good movies.
Yes, but not in the cinematic universe.
Right, not this new iteration.
Yeah.
Right.
Where they're trying to make a franchise out of it.
Man of Steel was... I mean, not
a shared
Man
universe.
Of Steel. Batman v Superman was horrible. So was Suicide Squad. So now this movie comes out. Fast forward to when this movie comes out. I sat down, I looked at the trailer when it first came out, and I'm like... I'm glad that this is coming out before, Justice League, at least. Mm-hmm. Unlike Aquaman and Flash. But...
Cyborg, where else?
Yeah, exactly. Or a Batman movie.
I wish they didn't have Cyborg, but that's a different
so, I'm sitting there, I look at the trailer, I'm like, it looks good, but so did the first trailer for Batman v Superman looked good. So, my expectations for DC were very, very low going into this movie, because I'm like, they've messed it up before, they can just as easily mess it up again. So, I went into it, I sat down, the movie started. Instantly, I'm like, okay, this is way better. And when the movie started, I was like, that is by far the best DC movie yet. And, yeah, this is a non-spoiler review. First.
Yeah.
I loved Wonder Woman as a character. I loved Chris Pine's character, Steve. Though I kind of chuckled at his name because I'm like, Steve Rogers. From Captain America, but
Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor, yeah. But yeah, I loved all the different characters. I like Saeed and Charlie and Chief, and I really in the trailer she was shown to have a bit more of a role in this movie. She was shown in a lot of the trailers. Was
his secretary?
Etta?
Something like that.
Ida? Something like that.
Yeah. Steve's secretary.
I was very hesitant about her character. I'm like, oh no, they're just gonna put in some clown to come walking around in her big shoes and
comedic relief,
honking our nose, right? And I'm like, great, this is gonna be like, because Suicide Squad is a good example of this. If one thing DC's not good at, it's banter. Witty banter is not their strong suit. They're not like Marvel, who can just nail witty banter just left and right. But surprisingly, the banter between Diana and Steve was really good. Same with the banter between all the rest of the characters.
I loved the banter between Diana and whatever his name was.
Steve.
No, not Steve.
Saeed?
Yeah. Was it Saeed? Because I swear he said to call me Sammy or something like that. So it was like Sameed, maybe?
Sameed, I think.
I don't know.
Sameed. Saeed. One of those kinds of names.
Guy.
Yeah. And that wears the fez.
The short ladies man.
Yeah.
Thought he was a ladies man. Dan is like, no.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the chemistry. This is the first ever DC movie in this universe that actually has chemistry in it. Because that is one thing that I hated about Man of Steel, was that I thought personally that Lois Lane and Clark Kent didn't really have as much chemistry as they should have had. It was better in Man of Steel, not Man of Steel, freaking Batman v Superman, in my opinion. That was like the only good part about that movie, was the relationship between Lois Lane and Clark Kent. Only good part about that movie.
Now, the best part about that movie is the character we're talking about right now, Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And so, I thought the origin story was really cool. The villain, I won't give any away, but they are really cool.
Mm-hmm. The villain's pretty cool.
Actually, there's multiple villains. we'll get into that in spoilers. But yeah, just all around, great movie. Great movie. Not much to complain about. That's it. And we'll get... It's like my one... I will say just one complaint. There are 2 lines in the movie, and I'll probably have to watch the movie again to really pick them out. And I don't remember what they are, but they kind of made me cringe a little bit. And I was like, you could have said that a bit better. I was kind of twitching in my chair, like, okay, just as long as you don't make any more lines like that, it'll be good.
2 lines out of the whole movie, though.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yeah, but that was it. That was the whole thing. And there was one scene, but we'll get into that in spoiler section, that I thought was a bit weirdly edited.
Yeah.
But all around, loved it. So, on to one of you two talking about it.
Well, I kind of had the same reservations you did in the beginning, was that DC doesn't have a fantastic track record so far. They've kind of been, like I said, Man of Steel I liked and everything else. I haven't seen Batman v Superman, but I heard enough about it to know that no one thought it was any good. So I was like, please do not screw up Wonder Woman. I like Wonder Woman. Just don't mess her up. And, was very pleasantly surprised with the movie. It was extremely good. I loved, like you said, I loved Diana's character arc. I loved where she starts and where she ends. Is like, it's really good. And I love the theme. See, this movie is one of the reasons that I probably love this movie, is that it has a really, really strong theme. And that theme comes out in the very beginning and it carries all the way through to the end. It is the core of, Diana's sort of, what do you want to call that? Where she overcomes, what she needs to overcome in order to... Well, just her...
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I just can't find the words.
How she overcomes what she needs to overcome. It's that theme is at the core of it, and it's at the core of her character arc.
Her conflicts.
Yeah, the conflict was... Yeah, the inner conflict.
Of her.
For her, and I loved Steve, and I loved what he was to her, and just, what he did for her as a person. How she grew because she met him. See, that's an example. Really, really, really good romantic plot line, I thought, because it wasn't the main point.
Was it shoved in your face?
It wasn't shoved in your face. I mean, of course you see it coming, kind of, but at the same time, it's just so organic and so sweet and so innocent, especially for the setting, that I loved it. And yeah, one of my favorite superhero movies so far. It ranks right up there for me with like Doctor Strange and first Iron Man.
Yeah.
As far as individual movies go.
So for me, I absolutely adore this movie, and I think it sets itself apart very well from the other 2 DC movie or other 3 DC movies because of the time period it takes place in. It can be its own movie. It didn't rely on anything that, it didn't have to have anything to do with those other 3 movies because it's so much further in the past.
Yeah.
And, I love period pieces, so like to see anything set like World War I doesn't get a whole lot of movies recently. Back in the day there was a ton of movies World War I related, but recently you haven't seen a really period piece set in World War I, so that was cool to see. But I just love Diana and her journey, just the way she starts off really naive, about the outer world and pretty much lied to by her mother.
Right.
And you understand it because, her mother's just trying to protect her. That's, But, you do learn quite a bit about once Diana, decides to leave and go with Steve Trevor, sort of why she does that, and I thought that was really, that part was told very well. Mm-hmm. And I love the Steve Trevor arc, and just like you said, what he represented to Diana, and their relationship was really great. The villain, that actual main villain, was really, really well done, I thought.
Yeah.
I saw it. I didn't see it coming, but I did see it coming. Well, I'll get to that in spoilers.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really well done. The final, just some of the action scenes are just amazing.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
We'll get to that with spoiler scenes, but just the way I do have a complaint about some of the action scenes, and my biggest complaint with this movie is they used 1 or 2, maybe 4, 5, 6 too many slow-mos.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as bad as a Guy Ritchie movie like Sherlock Holmes, where they show the entire fight scene in slow-mo first, and then fight.
Oh,
then
with
the
Robert
fight
Downey
happens
Jr., where he's like planning it out in his head,
he's playing
slow motion.
The best part is when he plans it out in his head and it doesn't go the way he thought it was going to go because somebody stepped in and intervened, like when he's at the
in the second
fortune tellers.
Yeah.
And
she just knifes
throws
him.
the knife.
Yeah.
You didn't see that coming.
Right.
Yep. I mean, that particular scene, but the other ones where he's like, miming it out in his head, like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do... this movie's not like that at all, but it uses that slow-mo technique, and I think it just used it 1 or 6 too many times.
I like his analogies, though. They're funny. Like flipping the pancake or...
Scramble the eggs. Or whatever.
That's the good part about those parts.
Right.
But,
I mean,
analogies.
What, they could have done with a few less of those, but other than that, that's pretty nitpicky complaint. I love this movie, so...
Yeah.
So, the thing that came to mind, this is one thing I will give Man of Steel. It was definitely its own movie, but with Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman, you can really, really, really compare them to Marvel cinematic movies. For example, Batman v Superman, Civil War, and Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy.
But again, with no foundation.
Yeah.
But you could say that about Wonder Woman and the first Captain America. They're very similar movies.
However,
yeah.
The only thing that I found similar between them
was the
war setting. That was it. That was the only similarity between the two. Love story was completely different than Steve and Peggy.
But there's still that notion that one's going to outlive the other.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's that part, like, Diana knows that Trevor can't live as long as she will.
Yeah.
So and Steve Rogers, Captain America, knows that...
Well, he gets frozen.
Right.
He's kind of a man out of time, and he comes back to see that Peggy's all old and...
Right.
And
but it's,
she dies in Civil War.
It's similar.
But then again, if you're a comic book movie fan and you haven't seen Civil War, what's wrong with you?
Well, and it's not a big spoiler. It happens in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's not plot relevant. So
no.
Yeah.
The story between them is not plot relevant.
No.
So yeah, I really liked this movie. I did like the kind of nod at the very beginning. This isn't a spoiler, but at the very beginning you get like a letter from Bruce Wayne. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
I love the way the movie started off. It's sort of Diana telling Bruce Wayne her story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also, having a flashback while looking at this picture.
Right.
And I do like how the whole movie's a flashback. That's really cool to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly how she remembered it.
Yep.
And, just love this movie. Love it.
Yeah,
Best
I can't wait
DC
to go see
movie
it again.
So far. Best DC movie so far.
I might go tomorrow. I'm off. I might go see it again tomorrow.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, so I will give this 5. I'll give this a 5 golden truth lassos out of 5.
Yep, I would have to agree with that. And for future reference, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit don't even fit on the 5 to 5 scale. They're way up on their own somewhere.
99 out of golden rings out of 5.
Yeah, pretty much. For everything else is on the same playing field, though, and this would be a 5 kick-ass Amazon warrior women out of 5, because they were so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, can I get it to 5? That is the question. Me and my decimal points.
I had no complaints.
A 4.9999999.
No, you're right.
Having let
No,
it set.
I have to give this a 5. It's the best movie I've seen all year.
Yep.
So I do have to give it 5 God Killers out of 5.
There you go.
That was good. Okay, so spoilers?
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Serious spoilers.
Coming in
Serious.
5, 4,
4,
3, 2,
1. Okay, before we start spoilers, I just wanted to say. Finally, a love story that isn't freaking predictable.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's organic. It feels natural. It's not like...
Right, they fell in love
Yeah.
because it happened, not
Yeah,
because
right.
it was forced upon them or...
yeah,
Right,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
It just happened. Yeah, they didn't have to, like, go through this little list of criteria, like, oh, I'm not gonna like you at first, and then...
Right.
You know, like...
Oh, I'm going to avoid you and push you away.
But yeah, like
Oh,
Steve is, you
Right.
know,
Yeah, it's...
oh, I'm really
Steve
gonna...
is kind of like the every dude who knows a lot about the world. And, you know, Diana's like the wide-eyed, kind of innocent child to the world who doesn't really
Well,
know.
she's the sheltered person who has
Yeah.
no idea what the outside
exactly.
Themyscira.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing. She knows nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just so good. Like, just him, like, teaching her. Like, I really like that part is him, you know, teaching her the societal norms of the time. And then her breaking them. Like,
Right,
I love
yes,
it. I love that.
watching
Right.
that.
And,
But yeah, because it doesn't make sense to her.
Right.
But then,
It's like...
even the
Why is it
time
like
when
this?
when they're dancing and she looks at the snow because
She's never
seen snow before.
Yeah, and that's
I'm like,
magical to her.
That was a beautiful scene.
Yeah, and
It
just
was.
like the first time she sees London, like, what a hideous place this is.
Yeah,
You
right.
know?
It's like,
Well,
it's not for everyone.
Yeah. Well, like, one of my favorite parts about the relationship, too, was just that, yes, Diana is very naive and very innocent, but at the same time, she could pick up Steve and throw him, you know, like 2 miles off. But he's never threatened by that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's not...
Right, and
He's just like, meh.
he never...
Well, he went to a whole island full of those people.
He
so.
never really...
Right.
He does kind of, but he never really takes advantage of her naivety. He does kind of.
A little bit.
He's sort of like, yeah, I'm going to take you to the front, but he, you know,
Right,
we
he
have
has
some
no
other things.
intentions to at
Right, he
first.
really doesn't want to take
Yeah.
her to the front. He just, you know, and he just wants her to, but he doesn't know what she's about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really about what she's capable of and what she can do. She doesn't even really absolutely know for sure what she's capable of. She's fought, you know, her, you know, aunt and stuff and during training,
Right.
but she's never really known what she can do outside of
She's never
the
seen
training.
Yeah, well, and
Right.
she's also she's never seen like a real war.
Because even when
Go
the
on.
Germans first come to the island, she's hiding behind the rock.
Oh,
She
yeah,
doesn't
she-
even know what's going on.
Right.
And then eventually she picks up a bow and
Right.
starts shooting
But
people.
like, yeah, it's like she just is taken aback, and you can tell. And I think Gal Gadot did such a phenomenal job.
Godot.
Is it Godot?
Yeah,
I think it
I
has
don't even
multiple
know.
pronunciations. It has multiple. But I think
Gal.
she did a phenomenal job with her acting.
Oh, yeah. She
I
was
know
great.
a lot of people, not a lot of people, but there's some people out there who thought that was the weakest part of it. Not
No.
me. I
No.
thought she played the part perfectly. She was supposed to sort of be wooden and, you know, unsure, you know. She doesn't know anything about this outside world.
Right.
So, to me, she portrayed that part of herself great. And then through the fight scenes and stuff, oh, just amazing.
Oh, yeah. The fight scenes
Oh,
were
so
incredible. That first time that she just like, no, we're not going to stand by and just let stuff happen. I'm going to go up there by myself if I have to and try to fix this. And she just goes up into no man's land and starts, oh, God.
and starts deflecting bullets.
Right, well, yeah, she was tired of being told no. Like, she's seen all this destruction. She wants to help the horses. She wants to help everybody.
Yes.
Not just, she doesn't care about herself. She wants to help everybody else. She wants to help those horses that are stuck. I could help them, and it's like, no, we have to keep going. They keep ushering her through. And I think Steve Trevor just wants to get her through. Without her seeing too much, and becoming too involved. And then she's like, nope, I've had enough. Like, I'm going up there, and I'm going up there by myself.
Right, yeah, if you're not going to come.
Right.
Well, that was
because the bad people are over there, and I have to get over there.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that was the cool contrast, too, between...
Because that's where Ares is going to be.
Right. But yeah, the contrast between her, seeing everything and feeling it so strongly, and like, I want to help them, I want to help them, I want to help them, and Steve's been in this war, and he's just like, he's very jaded, and he's learned to put on the blinders and block it out, and just be like, no, this is what I can do, and so, and so he doesn't get sidetracked, but Diana's just like, no.
Right, I need to help you, I need to help you, right.
Yeah.
It's like
this lady just came up and told me her, people are being enslaved, and like, I have to help her.
Yeah.
It was like that one scene when they're in the council room, and that guy's like, nope, we will just send a whole bunch of men out there to go fight, and soldiers are expendable, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
She goes up to him and just tells him off, like, you think that their lives are lesser than your own? A real general fights with their men, not...
Yeah.
Some meeting.
Yeah. Doesn't hide in their office behind a desk. Yeah, She
goes to town
that
on
part.
it.
Yeah.
That was that's actually when Steve decides to actually take her to the front. Wasn't that
Even
scene.
if she's yelling at him afterwards, like, you are a coward.
Yeah.
He's like, we're going. You lied?
Yeah.
I'm a spy. That's what I do.
Yeah. Just the dialogue in this movie was really good too.
It was
really good.
Yeah, the chemistry between Chris Pine and Gal was awesome.
Oh yeah.
And you could tell that they worked well together in the movie and really played off each other well. It was a great movie. One of my favorite scenes is the scene on the boat when they first leave Themyscira.
Oh yeah.
She's it's like, he's like, I have to sleep over here. I can't.
Yes.
Like, you don't sleep with... No, I sleep with women.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole, like... You just get to really realize how naive Wonder Woman is, or Diana is. But also how much of a gentleman Chris Pine is. He easily could have tried taking advantage of her. He didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, So you get some good character building moments there, I think, from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That whole scene was just hilarious. The comedy in this movie was really good.
Yeah.
There was hardly
it hit at the right time.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was hardly a comic relief scene that I didn't laugh at.
Right, or a joke out of place, or
Yeah.
You felt like, why that wasn't appropriate, or that didn't fit there. Why did you put that there?
Like her going in and trying the clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that whole scene is just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But how do women fight in this? She rips that skirt and
or
where's she at? Oh, she's trying on number 267 or whatever she says.
Yeah.
Like or that scene on the boat when they're like laying down and they're talking about like what the pleasures of the flesh or whatever.
Yes.
That whole part made me just chuckle.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I was laughing, and then also the part when he's in the cave and she's like, "What is that? What's that thing?" And he looks down
because he's naked.
Yeah, and he thinks it, and then it's a watch. Yeah.
Oh, the watch.
Yeah. And that part is great. Just there was really good comic relief in this movie. Now I'm gonna segue. I thought that the villains in the form of Dr. Poison and the general, I forget what Ludendorff.
Yeah.
Ludendorff, and of course the one that is eventually revealed, which is Ares. I don't remember exactly what the guy's name is though, but he's the British.
He played Lupin.
Yeah.
In Harry Potter.
Yeah, he's the British dude.
Don't remember his name. Sorry.
But yeah, and those three, I really really like them. Like I really like Dr. Poison.
Like when did you finally realize that guy was actually Ares? At what point in the movie?
Probably. Well, okay, I was
because I knew after she killed Ludendorff, how easy that was.
Right,
yeah,
and
that
how
wasn't
nothing
him.
happened. That wasn't Ares.
I thought it was Dr. Poison at first.
So did I at first.
I did too. Yeah.
I thought, well, maybe he just took the female,
right.
Yeah, the least less
likely. Right, least likely
suspected one.
And the British guy, I knew from the moment he walked into the bar that he was going to be no good. Because it's just one of those classic setups that, especially if you're a writer, you kind of become attuned to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I knew when he walked in the bar and it's like, I'm going to support you, and yes, you should go and do this. I knew he was going to be no good, but I didn't know he was going to be Ares. And I really didn't see that coming until he was actually sitting there. Because I was sitting there thinking, like, okay, it wasn't him. It's got to be the Dr. Poison lady.
It's like, it's somebody we know. They're not going to just throw in somebody we haven't seen yet.
Imagine if it was like Edda.
Like, it has to be it has to be somebody we know. So I was like, man, who's it going to be? And when they reveal who it is, like, it makes perfect sense. Because, of course he's going to support them to go out there. Mm-hmm. He wants to isolate them behind enemy lines. Of course, that's going to be the best shot he has to also take her down.
Right.
The scene when he's talking in the war council room, right? And she suddenly walks in. Everyone's flabbergasted that a woman walked in. When he sees her, he starts stumbling over his lines. I don't think it was because she was a woman. I think he knew that was the God Killer, and he's like, he got a little bit nervous at first. He got a little bit scared.
Well, and I think another part of his motives, too, was to get her to see, everything that basically Steve didn't really want her to see.
Right.
Ares wanted her to see all of that.
Well, he thought he could change her, to the dark side, like, somebody trying to change Luke to the dark side, like the Emperor.
Right.
It sort of had that sort of tale there,
Yeah, but I thought his... Now, I know, like, it's kind of a stereotypical plot, but at the same time it isn't. Because I really like his idea of, like, if humanity's completely wiped out from the center of the Earth will still thrive. Mm-hmm. Which is true, I think. Mm-hmm. I think that if humanity was wiped out from the Earth...
Well, obviously the planet's going to be fine.
Yeah, the planet's fine. People. Yeah.
No, don't need us to grow trees and run rivers.
No.
and rain and
have animals eat each other and eat plants. And so I thought that motivation was really cool, how he wanted just things to go back to how it was before man was created.
It's like the whole Earth being a paradise.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And
well, I think what made his motivations work so well, and what made that point work so well, is that it meshed so well with Diana's arc. Mm-hmm. With her, when she starts out, she is fully convinced, totally convinced that Ares is the sole cause of this war, and that if she kills him, the war will stop, and everyone will stop killing each other. And she really has to come to realize that no, Ares is not forcing these people to go to war. He may have given them the tools, and he may have given them some of the ideas, but he's not taking their choices and their action, not taking their choices away from them.
He's not really directly manipulating them.
No,
right.
He's just whispering things.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so she goes from seeing the world as very black and white to realizing that it is extremely gray.
Right, and Steve Trevor tells her that as much. He's like, I've done bad. I could be just as bad as them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like maybe I don't deserve...
Right, maybe it's me that's the bad one, and,
Yeah, exactly.
He does try to explain that to her. But, she's fully convinced still at that point that, no, if I kill Ares, this whole thing will end.
Yeah. Right. And that whole final fight scene between Ares and Diana was so good. Cause,
it was.
Like, they're just throwing... it's like Man of Steel. That was one thing that I liked in Man of Steel, was the fight scenes. Just, boom, just throwing each other around, creating, like, craters in the floor, throwing each other on the floor. And it did that, but with its own flair, with, like, the golden lasso, of course, being utilized, and...
Right, but I also like the parallel fight scene, if you will, with the human characters,
Yeah.
Steve Trevor, he has to make a hard choice. Like, I still have to blow this plane up, And so he takes it upon himself to
sacrifice
himself and fly it up into the sky and blow it up. I mean, yeah, it's a heart-wrenching moment. And to watch Diana, she's like pinned to the ground, and she has to watch the whole thing. Mm-hmm. She knows he's in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what he's about to do. And it's just very emotional and...
Oh, yeah, I cried.
Yeah, I teared up.
I teared up, too.
I don't cry easy, but...
twice in this movie, and that part definitely. And then there was another part earlier in the movie where I did, but I think it was more of a... I think it was one of the times when Diana finally realizes that, nope, I have to do this myself, and she gets out of the trench. Mm-hmm. Like, right there is an emotional moment, you know?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it was more like, emotional in the sense, like, you're kind of crying tears of, like, heck yes, Like,
yeah, right. It's like a little bit of angst, like a little bit of, like, finally,
Yeah, it's like that relief, like he's finally going to do something.
You're realizing what you were meant to do, right?
Yeah. And it was, the whole scene with Steve in the plane and he's pointing the gun at the explosives.
Oh, Chris Pine's acting in that part was phenomenal.
You see all the stages of like kind of grief for his own death in his face. Mm-hmm. And then eventually it goes to acceptance,
sort of like,
and then it cuts away.
Maybe I won't do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Or is this the way it has to be?
And he looks angry at one point, like, I can't believe this is happening.
Like, that this is where, it's
and then eventually he smiles and he pulls the trigger.
Right, his acting at that part. And that's, I think, what really got me was,
Right, and then they continue it when you finally... Because she can't hear when he tells her that he loves her. She can't hear because of the bomb that, she was just in that huge explosion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then she's, like, able to, like, I don't know, read his lips or whatever.
Yeah.
And sort of put his voice to his lips and, like, figure out what he said. Oh, man. That, again, waterworks. Because it just got me teared up.
Also, not to mention the very, very end when you see all the people that were lost on, like, the board or whatever. Mm-hmm. All the heroes of World War One. She walks up and she sees his picture, and then she looks up to the sky. And the part that really got me tearing up was when she emailed Bruce Wayne back, and it says, "Thanks for bringing him back to me."
Yeah.
That part got me.
Again,
that got
me. Just, like, continued the tears that were just about to dry up. Oh, no.
Right? Yeah.
Get you again.
Start him up again,
So, yeah. Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. Chris Pine deserves, honestly, an Oscar for that part.
Just for that part, yeah. In the plane. Just for that part in the plane by itself was...
And the whole movie.
It was great through the whole movie.
But I just mean that was some really...
But I was glad to see that
acting.
He didn't have to carry the movie. I mean, Gal's not a well-versed actress.
No.
She's been in, like, a Fast and Furious movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think number 7. Maybe it was 6. It's the one where they're in Brazil.
Uh-huh.
Okay. She's in that movie. And I thought she did a great job in that movie. But she's just that sort of fun, like, action person in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of like the beautiful, temptress sort of part in that movie. But, I was... And I give a lot of the credit to Gal, but I give a lot of the credit to Patty Jenkins, the director.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get these performances out of these people and just... She did such a phenomenal job. I mean, her last movie I think she was a part of was Monster, where, I don't know if you've seen that, but it's Charlize Theron.
Oh, yes.
It's like a very, like, tense movie, but she won an Oscar for that movie, I think, or at least was nominated. I'm not sure if she won, but Charlize Theron was nominated for an Oscar for that movie. So, Patty Jenkins is definitely capable, and it's very... evident in this movie of just being an amazing director and getting performances out of people that are just spectacular.
Right.
Now, one thing I want to say about this movie, thank you for not chickening out, though, on killing Steve. Like, thank you for not, because a lot of movies, they want the happy end.
Right.
This one did a really, really good, bittersweet ending to it.
Yeah.
And there needs to be more bittersweet endings, honestly.
I think that's where you pick up with Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman and why she's such a good character in that movie, because you understand, like, why she's sort of jaded and why she's not really interested in fighting Doomsday or, being part of this. She's somewhat curious about it, but she's not interested in getting involved in that movie. And that's why, for me, her part in Batman v Superman, the part she's in, is some of the best parts.
Yeah.
And, Ben Affleck does a great job as Bruce Wayne and Batman, too, I think, in that movie. He's not the issue with the movie. It's the pacing and the directing. The directing is the worst part of the movie.
Yeah.
And the editing.
But nitpicks with this movie, and like I said earlier, my wife had one nitpick with the movie, and that's that Wonder Woman is in like 4-inch high like platform heels on her boots, and for somebody who probably wears them, I don't wear that big of boot heels, but my wife has, and to be able to like fight and move around and be that like quick on your feet and stuff would be a little tough. So she just had thought like putting that little feminine touch was a little bit was unnecessary.
Where is that? Is that on the on her island or
no? When she's wearing like the red boots that she has on.
Yeah.
They have like a big old heel on them. And she's like, she could have been in some more comfortable shoes or boots,
I didn't even notice.
Me neither.
So, yeah, that's just one of the things. Like, I thought her costume was awesome. It was more than just for looks. Every part got used, the shin guards on the boots got used to deflect stuff and the bracelets and, So that... I didn't have as much problem with it. My wife had a little bit of problem with it. But that's super nitpicking. She loved the movie, too.
Yeah. Now, the one scene in the entire movie made Jordan and I raise our eyebrows a little bit.
It was just weird.
It's the scene where she's training. It's finally when you first see Gal Gadot in the flashback. It's the first time you ever see her. And she's fighting all the Amazons. She's doing really well. Then our aunt comes. Now, sorry, her name is escaping me at the moment. I don't exactly remember what her aunt's name is.
Which sucks, because she was a badass.
Oh, she was awesome.
I loved her aunt.
Now, the funny thing is, Jordan and I we went to go see this with our mom and dad. I was sitting by my dad. Jordan was sitting by our mom. And we were sitting there, and during that entire fight scene, literally at the
beach.
Huh?
The fight scene on the beach.
Yeah, on the fight. Yeah, on the beach with the Germans. Jordan and I, at like almost the exact same time, leaned over to, I leaned over to Dad, she leaned over to Mom, and we both said, Diana's aunt is a badass. Literally right before she gets shot. As I was saying that, I hear... I'm like,
I saw it coming. I kind of figured she was gonna get killed, but... Well, because you see it in the... Oh, no, you don't see her death, but... I just, I kind of saw it coming, but still, yeah. God, that woman was a badass. She was so cool.
She, just took 3 guys out at the same time with 3 arrows,
One shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was awesome. Anyway, though, back to your
nitpicking. The one scene where she's training with her aunt, and she uses the power, the killer power, to, knock her aunt back, and, she falls, and they all, gather around her aunt, and, the aunt, sits up. Now, the one problem is, the aunt's facial expression, I couldn't really read. I was like, okay, is she smiling? Is she happy that she's, finally finding this power, or is she not? And then you, get, this literally 2-second clip of Hippolyta, and she's like, what have I done? Instantly goes, back. I'm like, what? What do you mean, what have you done? Then Diana's, trying to walk up to her aunt. She's like, I'm sorry. And then there's this awkward silence.
It's like, yeah.
Like, as, like, it's, like, cutting towards multiple faces. And then, like, one of the Amazons, like, nods.
Right.
And then, like,
and
someone says, like, her aunt is bleeding in the back of her head. And I'm like, okay, she's an Amazon. I think that's not something to be worried about. I think if her brain, like, yeah, unless her brains are, like, falling out of her head, then I'd see a little bit of a worry there. And I was just like, what is this scene? Like,
right. So I saw that scene different. I saw that as a realization because Diana's not an Amazon.
Yeah, she's a god.
She's a goddess. So put, there by Zeus. So it was the realization that they flashed to those other women's faces, like the awe, like, oh my God, she is the one. She is the god killer. The sword's not the god killer.
Yeah.
She's the god killer. And I think they just flashed to those, like, and the one nods, like, yep, she gets it now. And, what have I done? Well, what have I done? That's, like, the training part. Like,
yeah.
What have I created? Like, if she hadn't been trained, she never would have figured this stuff out. So what have I done?
It could have been paced better. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
It could have been edited,
the whole scene had, like, that moment. Yeah, I mean, it maybe flashed through the faces too quickly or whatever. But it was just that realization of the people there that were like she is the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been... The editing was just a little funky, but that was the only part in the movie.
It's not nearly as bad as, like, editing in Suicide Squad, where there are literally shots that are less than a second
You
long.
can't even compare this movie to Suicide Squad. It's in a completely different
and
level.
yet made by the same people.
All right, I don't get it. What's her name, the director?
Patty
Jenkins.
Give that woman more of your movies.
She's already signed on to do Wonder Woman 2.
Good.
There's a second Wonder Woman movie coming out.
Good.
It'll probably be before the events of, like,
Justice League.
Well, even before Man of Steel. I'm guessing it'll be.
So DC's backtracking and trying to fill in their foundation underneath the building that's already there. That's what they're trying to do.
They're going to use their God character to do it. They're one that's, will live the longest and has seen the most stuff. Batman you can't do.
Aquaman you can do that.
Right.
You can do that with Aquaman.
He's sort of the god of the sea.
Yeah.
He's the Lord of the sea. I find that funny that they're like, oh, whoops, maybe we should have a foundation.
It's like, it's like putting on a roof before putting all the bricks on a house.
It's just like creating the building, and then you're, make sure it doesn't sink. Let's stick some foundation in under it. You have to, like, pipe it in with tubes or something.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, yeah. For Wonder Woman, I really hope they do Athena as the main villain, because she's like Wonder Woman's big villain, like the one that torments her probably the most, and she's not one that you can just kill off in one movie. So I think they definitely need, like, DC. They have really good villains. They're not nearly as memorable, in my opinion, as some of the Marvel villains. But they have really good villains that are, like, there to stay. Like, Brainiac for Superman. He's there to stay. Joker for Batman. He's there to stay. Athena for Wonder Woman. She's there to stay. So, I really do hope that they bring in some of those villains in future. That is one thing that DC does do better. It does do nemesis. They do nemesis way better than Marvel does, in my opinion. Except for Thanos.
Well, but we haven't seen Thanos do anything yet.
Yeah.
Marvel, at least in their cinematic universe, has just been kind of, here's this villain, they pop up, they get smashed down, and then you move on to the next one. There's not, like, other
Except
than
for
Thanos.
Loki.
And
I don't think
Loki's, though, he's this weird, he's not exactly like a villain. Well, he is, but he's not at the same time. Like, he helps Thor in Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
He's actually there to, he still manipulates the situation to get what he wants, which is the throne of Asgard. But you can tell there's not just pure hatred between him and Thor. They just have a very complex brother relationship. Yeah.
Now, like,
which is one of my favorite things.
Well,
about
Loki's
those
jaded.
Yeah.
Right.
And jealous.
Yes. Jaded and jealous and just very pissed.
Well, like
basically.
Hela, I don't think they're going to be able to kill her off in Ragnarok. Hela?
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to kill her off.
I hope not, because she looks pretty
Ragnarok,
cool.
Because she's definitely a big staple villain in Marvel. And Marvel seems to be getting all the kind of obscure villains out of the way before they really tackle some of the, the big ones. Which I think is fine. I think that's cool that they're doing that. I mean, that was one problem that I had with Man of Steel. I'm like, come on, man, you have to kill Zod? Really? You have to kill Zod? Like,
right?
I loved Zod. Zod is one of my favorite, Superman villains. Right along with Doomsday. They messed him up, too. And so it's just like...
Well, just with, like, letting villains live or escape, I just like that it leaves that threat hanging out there.
Yep.
Even if they have to go deal with something else, that threat is still out there, and you know it's going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thing on leaving, especially the really good, powerful villains.
So now...
Let them get away.
That is one problem with Marvel, is that one of their biggest villains is owned by a different company, Fox. And that's Doctor Doom.
Oh, yeah.
Doctor Doom is, like, one of the biggest, just staple, like, villains that you can't kill. You can't kill off Doctor Doom.
Right.
Yeah, they won't... If there ever does become a Fantastic Four movie, if the Disney Marvel, gets the rights back to them ever, yeah, I think they'll do Doctor Doom right. They'll get all of those characters like... what the hell is the big planet eater? Galactus. Yeah, I think he'll be done so much better.
Yeah.
In that universe than he has been in the...
He's another villain that you can't kill.
Yeah.
You'd think Fox would just at some point bow out gracefully. Just be like, here.
Well, especially on the Fantastic Four property.
Just bow out, Fox.
You've had your chance.
Yeah.
Just give it back.
I like the Silver Surfer movie, aside from the Galactus part of it.
Where he's just a big
Silver
clown.
Surfer was great.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him return.
Mm-hmm.
But, I digress.
So, final thoughts?
Wonder Woman was awesome.
Yeah, it's a must-see.
Yep, must-see movie.
My favorite movie of the year so far.
Best
by
DC
far.
movie so far.
Yep.
And it just...
Yep, and it has a really powerful theme. One of my favorite lines in it is, it's not about deserve.
Yeah.
It's not about what people deserve. And that ties in really well with Diana's realization that the only thing that, can save the world is love. And that sounds cheesy until you realize that, love is sort of the thing that no one really deserves, but you give it anyway.
Right.
It's that grace.
Yeah, that willingness to give it to others.
Right, despite the fact that,
they might not be, you're not deserving of it.
Right.
No, yeah.
Love is not something you, deserve or earn. It's just, yeah.
I can see this being...
Yeah.
I can see this being a movie like
Mm-hmm.
Captain America Winter Soldier, where I can just watch it over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I was thinking about watching that, actually.
Yeah, that's the same way with... My favorite Marvel movie to date is Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, Volume 1. I can watch that movie ad nauseum over and over again and never get bored with it.
Yeah,
it's just a fun ride from the beginning to end. Mm-hmm. And it has characters I love, and it's, I love the space drama of it, and the setting of it is different than any of the other Marvel movies, so to me that's my favorite Marvel movie. This is by far my favorite DC movie, and that includes any DC movie. That includes the Nolan trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
I like this movie better than any of those three movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great movie. Definitely have to go see it. Of course, if you're listening to this part, you've seen it.
Yeah,
Right.
or you just don't care about spoilers.
But you gotta go see it again.
Right.
Yes.
Go see it again. It's worth it.
And it did over 100,000 at the box office, which it was only predicted to do like 65 million.
Wow.
Like 3 weeks ago, when they had some of their projections.
Yeah.
It was only projected to do like 65. It did like 100.3 million or 100 something like that, 100.5.
Nice.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
it really crushed.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Good job,
Yes.
DC. You might save this cinematic universe. You might
Well,
be able to do it.
Here's the thing: is it's going to be like, all right, the next movie is Justice League coming out in just a few months. Guess what? We're going to see Wonder Woman again in that movie.
Yep.
It's
Right.
going to put people butts in seats.
Oh,
This
yeah.
movie is going to put butts in seats to see
I'm gonna
that.
go see it now.
Right.
Maybe not opening
And
weekend.
you may
but-
not have wanted to
Right.
see it opening
No.
weekend until you saw this movie. And I think a lot of people are going to be in that same
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
No,
definitely.
I had no interest in seeing it opening weekend.
Right.
Now I'll probably
Because Wonder Woman is in it.
go. Right.
Yep.
And this movie was so amazing.
And you know, we haven't really gotten any good looks at. I mean, we got a pretty good look at Flash. I don't really have much hope for that one, but
That movie's in trouble.
yeah, I heard. But
Really?
Aquaman, I'm excited for that. Actually, I'm excited to see what they do with Aquaman.
See, that's not going to be an origin story.
Yeah, it's going to be
That's
after
After the
League.
Justice League events.
Yeah.
Huh.
So you might get a little bit of his origin story in Justice League, actually. I bet
Yeah.
they'll sprinkle that in. I wouldn't doubt if Aquaman is sort of like the third main character in this movie. I think you'll have Diana and Bruce Wayne teaming up to try to form the Justice League.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they'll act as like the central characters, but I think Aquaman will be that character that's on the outside, but he's got like a parallel sort of plot line to the story where you get to learn more of his origin, I think.
Now, this is the thing. You know how a lot of people are like, Hawkeye, you know, in Avengers? Like, who wants to go see Hawkeye, you know? But he ended up being freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to be the opposite with Cyborg, I have a feeling. Like, people are going to be like, dude, Cyborg is going to be so cool. And then you go in, and he barely has anything to do in the movie. Like, that's how I feel right now. Like, that might happen.
It could.
Because
his
Cyborg
solo
belongs...
movie isn't for like years.
Yeah. Cyborg belongs in the Teen Titans, in my opinion. He works in the Teen Titans. I don't think he works as a Justice League character as well as he does as a Teen Titans character.
No, I'd much rather see a new version of Green Lantern. Whether it's
too.
Hal Jordan or, I don't care
Yeah.
which one it is. I'm not such a huge Green Lantern fan that I would have a preference as to which human is playing. It could be an alien Green Lantern for all I care from Green Lantern Corps. I wouldn't care. I just want to see... I'd rather see him than Cyborg.
Yeah, me too. Green Lantern has
Or
always
Green
been...
Arrow, even.
Yeah. Green Lantern has always been one of the most interesting characters to me. But just... And I heard that they're going to get Dwayne The Rock Johnson to play as one of the villains in there in a Justice League movie called Black Adam. Now, with Black Adam, that's going to be interesting because they have to make the DC hero Shazam along with him. So, maybe they'll do Shazam. I like Shazam. I really do hope that they do Shazam because
he's a unique character.
he is very unique. He's basically, you know Shazam?
No, I don't.
He's basically this kid, right? He's like
a teenager.
Yeah, he's well, it depends on what comic you're reading. Sometimes he can be like, you know, middle school age to high school age. But basically, he's like kind of, you know, an average guy. He doesn't really have any powers. Until he learns, like, magic. And he yells out the magic word Shazam. And he becomes this big, huge, like, Superman-like superhero who goes and fights. But it's, you know, the same personality. He's
still a young... He
still
looks
has
like
that.
he's like this huge, like, Superman-type character, but he still has that
brain of a
teenage
teenager.
brain, you know, so he's like...
Yeah, and Black Adam's his main villain, kind of.
Right.
he's got, like, you know, big lightning bolt across his chest. He was originally named Captain Marvel before they changed him to Shazam because they got in trouble with Marvel. With Marvel's Captain Marvel. Which I'm excited to see that movie even more after seeing how well this movie did with a female lead. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see what they do with that character. Because
that one has a female director as well, too, I think.
Yeah. And just...
Yeah. Is it Ava DuVernay? I'm not sure who it is.
You're ruining Captain Marvel in the comics. Stop. You're ruining Carol Danvers in the comics by making her be a radical, but whatever. We'll
touch on that next week.
Yes. So, anyway. We loved Wonder Woman. Go see it. And, that's about it. You want to plug in our channel, Jay, before we sign off?
Yeah, go check out our other podcast that I do every week. I don't always do this one. I'm just a guest host on this one occasionally. But Red 2 Chatter, everything Star Wars all the time. So we talk about everything from that galaxy far, far away. From the movies to toys to games. So go check us out. That's, again, Red 2 Chatter on YouTube. Also, Facebook, you can find us over there. You can follow me on Instagram at jwilsonbydesign, or you can follow me on Twitter at jbird51. And I'll talk to you guys later.
I am also on Red 2 Chatter as well. I do that with Jay and my other brother Ryan. And we do everything Star Wars, so definitely go check that out. And also, I have another YouTube channel called Major Glitterix. That is Glitterix with Major before it. And I do gameplay videos with commentary and such. Jordan, do you have anywhere people can find you? Or is it just here?
Just here for now.
And also our Facebook page. Go follow our Facebook page.
Yep, got a Facebook page for Spiels to Reels. Plans for the future for me to get into more social media, but at the moment, no. You can find me here, and that's it.
Alright, so, hope you guys enjoyed this 4th episode.
You were right, the longest.
Yep.
By
we
far.
had a lot to say. We had a lot to say about this movie, but it's okay. It was a really good movie, and I think it deserved our time.
Yes.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed this 4th episode again. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you guys want to. We do this every week. I try to upload frequently on Wednesdays. So, yeah. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.
See ya.